Hey, welcome Rattler fans to the inaugural edition of Talkin Rattlers, and we are live from Diamondback Cafe here inside the campus of St. Mary's University. I think as a student and as a current student, we knew it as the CAF.
Yep.
David Tovar, Chad Peters with you, and everything going around the world of Rattler Athletics. If it's on rattlersathletics.com, it'll be right here. And Chad, we were talking about the idea of the show from its inception, and we were talking about, what do you want to talk about, what should we talk about, and then last night happened.
We were given a pretty tailor-made story, basically on a silver platter. A storyline for this whole afternoon was delivered to us very nicely by the St. Mary's Rattlers men's basketball team.
67-70 overtime victory against A&M Kingsville last night. And Chad, we were there obviously, and so were many of our rambunctious Rowdy Rattler fans, and I still, Danielle was asking me during the broadcast, can you describe it? And I still said, wow. I think wow is the only thing I can describe it with.
Yeah, I think in the background you can kind of hear a loud shrieking, woo! That was me there at one
Really?
point there. Yeah, I mean, I was.
and just to stop the rumors, it wasn't me yelling like a girl. That was Danielle. That was Danielle. I think my scream's a little more.
Maybe Coach Z as well. Maybe from the floor. We won't start that rumor, but just throwing it out there.
Could have been him, but. Chad, talk about, down 10 with about 2 minutes remaining. And I think if you go back and look at the game, it's on our Ustream page, but you go back and look at the game, we were down 9 with about 1:10 remaining.
Yeah.
And that's when the point guard for A&M Kingsville misses a free throw. And he makes one of two, and that's where the run just starts. And Taylor starts it and finishes it off in overtime.
Well, David, I thought what stood out was with a minute and 23 left, we were down 9. With a minute and 30-something, we were down 10. But, minute 23, they hit that free throw, go back up 9. And then with about a minute 09, I think Daryl Taylor hits a 3. With about 54 or so seconds, Moses Sandufu hits a 3. Sandufu hits again with 34. And then Lamb Autry hits a fourth straight 3. 4 straight threes made, not just taken. Lamb Autry hits with about 7 seconds left to send it to OT. What stood out to me, though, is you kind of had a vibe throughout the game. The Rattlers were not playing well.
Yeah.
And Coach Z, that was the message in the locker room afterward. The Rattlers, this is not how you play basketball. We deserve to lose this game, essentially, if not for just some gutsy play in the final minute. But what stood out to me is there was a vibe. No one was leaving the arena.
Yeah.
Even down 9 points, it seemed like it was over, but everyone was there still. And if you've watched the video, and if not, again, you can see it on the Facebook page, on the Ustream page where you're watching right now. Watch the reaction when Daryl Taylor, DT, hits that game-winning 3 in overtime. All the arms rise up in the air, the epitome of college basketball. And it was just an amazing scene for St. Mary's.
It is, and the thought I held on to throughout the whole night is it's college basketball. You see these things in the tournament and, immortalized moments, and I think St. Mary's just had one last night, all in the midst of a 12-2 run. As you said, 4 straight three-pointers from the Rattlers. They hit some huge buckets down the stretch, and it was an ugly game. Let's not sugarcoat. It was an ugly game for the first 38 minutes, but
the final two were magical.
The final two were magical, and the 7 minutes, the 5 of overtime, were huge, and Lamb hits the shot, and he had the presence of mind. Mind you, he had the presence of mind to know that he was on the three-point line, and he steps back, shoots a tough 3. They actually reviewed that one, and it went, and it was ruled good.
And that was an odd review because they review it,
and they wait till
after the game was over.
You think you review that one right on the spot?
Yeah, could you imagine if they come back? The angle he shot from the wing, and the camera was shooting from kind of behind him, so there's no way you'd been able to tell if a toe was on the line. So it almost seemed like just a gesture to review it, just to kind of make sure there was nothing there. But you knew there was no chance they'd see anything. But, Lamb Autry, his only points of the night, he finishes with 3 points. And I think that's really what I took away from the game. The Rattlers, as you said, did not play well. If you ask Lamb, Kevin, Ray Marshall, any of them, they're going to tell you they probably – the big 3. Each of them will probably tell you they had their worst game of the season. Yet the Rattlers find a way to win. Kevin Kotzer had some issues with turnovers and fumbling the ball inside. Lamb Autry had 7 turnovers, only 3 points. Of course, big 3 points, but only 3 points. I don't think Ray Marshall scored. But those 3 guys will be back.
Yeah.
It's the rest of the team, the new guys you want to see make those moments. And Moses and DT, of course, made those moments. And Brad Hubenak. Let's not let him go unnoticed. 10 points
and Brad, who
off
was
the
the
bench.
subject of the Rattler Spotlight that's in our programs.
Yeah.
You can pick up at every game, the game days. And he was highlighted, and I think he took notice that he was inside the program. Made it good on that.
Yeah, 10 points off the bench, and you really wondered where would the Rattlers have been if not for his 10 points.
Yeah.
Because, the other posts were not getting baskets, and conversely, A&M Kingsville's guy inside 35 points and 10 rebounds. I think Robert Williams is
Robert Williams, and that's somebody that I was going to talk about as well. I think throughout the whole broadcast, we were trying to play up Talkin Rattlers, which you're watching live right now from the Diamondback Cafe here at St. Mary's. And I said, we're going to be talking Robert Williams. The way this game is going, a monster game. And even Coach Bubba, after the game, he had a monster game. 35-10 by any means is a sensational game. And I think, to me, I mean, to go into your bus and you lose with 35-10, that doesn't happen often. I think the Rattlers happened to him.
Yeah, I mean, that was an NBA-style game from him. You know, an NBA stat line. You don't see 35 points put up in a college basketball game very often. A shorter game, only 40 minutes. You know, the way rotations work and everything. And the Rattlers, it just, again, speaks to the way the Rattlers somehow found a way to win that game. And ironically, they were down 20 points against Kingsville on the road earlier this season, stormed back and won in the final seconds. Yeah. So the Kingsville Javelinas probably don't want to see any more of the Rattlers anytime soon.
I think they've had enough for this season. And the Rattlers cap off a huge victory, 67-70 in overtime. And Lamb Autry's shot was huge in the to tie the game and send it into overtime at 59 all. He fouls out with 3 points. He had 7 turnovers. Not exactly his best game, but I think.
And then on top of that, the backup point, Keith Hartle, wasn't even available.
Oh, really?
He didn't suit up last night. You know, so you have your starting point guard foul out, your backup's unavailable. So DJ Castro stepped in and did pretty well, making the 2 clutch free throws to end the game.
To end the game as well. And we talked so much of how we got to overtime. We haven't talked about the overtime session. And the Rattlers weren't out of the woods just yet. I mean, they played well throughout, I think, the first 4 minutes of overtime. Then Daryl Nash for A&M Kingsville, who finished with 16 on the game. He had a big three to force Daryl Taylor's hand. And that last three, that, I mean, it's magical. And you can see it on the Facebook page, facebook.com/St. Mary's Rattlers. It's you can see us in the background. You can see the students in the back. I think the majority of the women's soccer players, I think, were in that shot. Yeah. And you can see them cringing and just, you know, the agony
a lot of
despair.
Fingernails being bitten in that shot. Antonio Morano, our photographer, taking that shot. Yeah, you can see that on the Facebook page.
And if you go back and look at the video, you can see the end result of when the shot goes in. I mean, it was pandemonium inside the Bill Gree Arena. I don't think it's been rocking like that. I mean, unless it's a St. Edwards or Incarnate Word game. It was rocking last night. It was just quite the scene. And I mean, and trying to call that game, I mean, you get excited too. Danielle obviously got excited as well.
So. And speaking of the overtime and how that game went down with DT's shot, I talked to both he and Lamb after the game, and Lamb said, you know, before his game-tying shot at the end of regulation, he actually talked to DT and told him, I have faith in you to make this shot. It turned out that, you know, Lamb was the one that took the shot, but DT ended up making it and showed why Lamb had trust in him. And, yeah, it was an off-balance three. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But off-balance three from beyond the wing, just kind of heaved up a prayer, and boy, was it answered.
2 of 7 from the three-point line going into that final 2 minutes. Daryl Taylor starts the party, and he finishes the party. Moses Ndafu brings 2 3-pointers to the party, and Lamb Autry brings 1 3-pointer to keep the party going. I mean, I don't think much more can be said. What a sensational win. I think we're still tired, frankly, from I mean, what's that, 45 minutes of play. Yeah. And we didn't even step a minute on the court.
Well, and then the 5, you know, you mentioned 2 for 7. So 5 of the team's 7 3-pointers they make came in the final 2 minutes of regulation or overtime. I think they were 5 of 6 for the stretch there. Yeah. The only miss was Lamb Autry hit back iron, and it looked good.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to go in,
And, I mean, so a team that couldn't hit anything, and we were shooting below 40% for much of the night. I mean, it was not an offensive display. We were hovering around the 40-point mark with, 4 minutes left. Brad Hubenak, 10 points off the bench, accounting for 25% of the scoring at that point with 10 points.
Yeah.
Yet they found a way.
And the game before that against Arkansas Fort Smith on Thursday, the Rattlers hit 12 3-pointers. So, I mean, a team they have riflemen. They have guys who can hit the shot, sharpshooters. And, I mean, it didn't look like it for the first 38 minutes, 2 of 7. From there, they go 5 of 6 and completely turn the game around and obviously turn the score around in their favor.
And it's these 2 new guys, Moses Ndafu and Daryl Taylor, joining an established core. We've talked about the big 3, Ray Marshall, Lamb Autry, Kevin Kotzer. You know the guys off the bench, Brad Hubenak, DJ Castro, Isaiah Matthews, and Joe Monroe coming up big last night. But these 2 new guys really, I think, just rounding out that lineup very nicely. 2 guys that played together at San Jacinto Junior College last year, so they have a rapport with each other. I mean, they know how to play together, and they're showing they have a rapport with the new guys.
You think they may have planned this out over there? Maybe one.
They might have mapped it out at one
game. We're going to take over.
We're going to do this.
We're just going to go and take over.
Yeah.
And they definitely did last night. Your Rattlers again victorious 70-67. We're going to take a little time out. Stay with us. You're watching the inaugural edition of Talkin Rattlers live from Diamondback Cafe here on Rattlers Ustream Live.
So we all know times are tough nowadays, but it's gotten pretty bad. Even Rattlerman had to live on campus.
Oh, look at that. Right there. Oh! Shoot and... Oh!
Yo, bro, I gotta go to the restroom, man. Yo, it's right over there, man. Hey, what's up, bro? Rattler man, Alex told me that you've been shedding while he's in the room, and that's just not cool. Needless to say, that might not work out. But we'll keep trying.
And welcome back, Rattler fans. This is the inaugural edition of Talkin Rattlers. David Tovar, Chad Peters with you live from the Diamondback Cafe here at St. Mary's University. Of course, it's affectionately known as the CAF. And Chad, I'm waiting for my grill work. So when we get when we wrap this up, I'm hungry. I haven't ate yet. And
so if a burger is catered over here in a little bit, we'll know why.
I wouldn't mind. Definitely wouldn't mind. But switching gears over, stay on basketball. We talked about the men's win yesterday, and now the Lady Rattlers. They played last night.
Yeah, they did, and you kind of get overshadowed when the other team does what the Rattlers did last night here at home. But I tell you what, the ladies went on the road, Northeastern State. They lost by 7, 54-47. But boy, the girls show some heart. That's the number 8 ranked team in the country. And we've seen this young team really gel as the season goes on. We saw the 1-9 start.
Yeah.
It looked like you don't want to say the season was going to go south. You don't want to be negative about it, but it looked like, okay, it's a young team. We knew that coming in, and they're going to have some issues. And then but you saw the talent, and we talk about it all the time up here in the broadcast. It's like, man, these girls are so good. If they just learn how to finish in the final few minutes, they're so good.
I think something that was interesting, and I've always said, I'm like, the 1-9 record is not indicative of the talent of a Jackie Edwards, of a Liz Boyd,
Morgan Pullins,
DA.
Yeah.
I mean that 1-9. I was like, you